everybody, and this week I've been having a little bit of a tinker around with Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. So can I please get an intro now? So, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, the very little discussed and almost portable spin-off to the much more widely discussed latest entry from the Batman Arkham series, Arkham Origins. Blackgate seemed to try its hand at being just as important and canonical to the real Arkham series on the consoles, but portable, much like what Hideo freaking Kojima did with Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops and Peace Walker. So basically, it was another way to make you really want either the 3DS or the PS Vita, just so that you could play a portable installment of a very fucking solid video game franchise. However, what was promised to me on the back of the box and then sold to me on PS Vita for $39.99 wasn't fully delivered. Yes, I did get this on the PS Vita, by the way, so all the points that I talk about are directly about that port. It is on the 3DS as well, but I'm sure that these points can apply to that as well. But just in case it doesn't, I apologise. But why this game didn't fully deliver is another story, so what about all the good stuff? Well, actually, I'll start with the promise of the game. This game is in 2.5D, and that is what sold it to me.
A portable Batman Arkham game in 2.5D? What the fuck?
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I just envisioned all of those classic PS1 2.5D games like Klonoa and even Tombi, but just with Batman, portable in HD. Yes, please! Sounds very good from the get-go, and there are a lot of good things about this game, so where do we start off? Well, how about the way it looks, which is fucking fantastic. On the PS Vita, it just looks incredible. It looks nearly just as good as the consoles, and it's nearly very much how, like, Uncharted Golden Abyss looks on the system compared to the main games. It looks intrepidly dark and almost sickly, which then yanks the atmosphere and idea of an overrun prison out from the safety of thickly black, outlined comic strip panels and into a very real and harsh reality. Although saying that, this can also be said for the comic book inspired cutscenes, which instead of being poppy, vibrant and everything that I just said, intertwines with the overall dark and gritty tonality of the whole game. The music and sound design is again fantastic, and playing this with a good set of headphones really does succeed in having you being sucked into the game and then immediately blown away by it. The same thing can be said for the voice acting, which is just as tip-top as you'd expect, and as it should be actually. The touchscreen interface is very cool, allowing you to perform all of your scanning and detective work by a touch of your finger, and within the terms of playing the game, it's more or less an exact reincarnation of the open world and backtracky yet fun open world, amazingly openly world styled console games. So all of the awesome and extremely compulsory gadgets return, like the line gun that lets you swoop on a wire across different chasms, and even electrically charged batarangs that allow you to overcharge and malfunction different computer systems to open doors and such. They all have their place, and they actually do work quite well with the 2.5D mechanics. All of the side quests make a comeback, all of the hide and seek quests with their different items to find rear their lovely heads, and all of the stealth action, sleuthy detective work and invisible manned combat is still forefront of the whole system, which is great. Not to mention the one-man army, fast-paced, fast-reaction fistfights also make a comeback, and they're great fun, especially with the side-scrolling. And so, just from me lazily summing up everything that the game consists of, much like the consoles, you think that there wouldn't be any much more to say, would you? Most of you have played the console games, so in your minds, you're just melding all of these truths into a 2.5D portable version of the console games, and it just sounds like a job well done. Except, it isn't quite there. Unfortunately, the bad stuff really does stick out, starting with really nitpicky things like the fact that in the in-game cutscenes, none of the characters have any facial animation or mouths opening when they talk. Luckily, the voice acting alone carries it through, but then at the same time, the body movements are okay as well, so it gives you an indication on who's speaking to who and what's going on, but could it have been too hard just to make their mouths open? Also, yes, I know that it's portable and it wasn't actually that well promoted and it felt more like a spin-off, but if MGS can get two canonical games on a portable system with great stories, why can't Batman? The story is there, but insanely, I can't really use the word boring, it's just more to, like, just very standard A to B, and none of the character interactions or storylines carry any impact or reason to them, and it feels much more like a just standard save the day scenario, much much suited more to Mario than it would be to something as deep or complex as Batman. But saying that, when I bought this game, I wasn't looking for groundbreaking storytelling, so along with that and the fact that the mouths don't fucking move, those are just nitpicks really. The real things that bug me are within the game itself, and they are as follows. Firstly, the controls. They are really good for the most part, but then doing really vital things such as moving in and out of the foreground and background, and even hiding in the underground like floor grate bits in stealth missions, they can sometimes have really confusing and unmemorable button combinations. Yes, there are tons of control prompts throughout the game, but it just seems a shame that I keep having to have a look at them when I should be able to just remember something as very vital and crucial to the gameplay as them. And occasionally, especially in the combat of the game, they can sometimes even lock. They become hugely unresponsive and it opens you up to attacks from all over the place, and this happens from the cloak stun more than any other attack in the game. And once you start getting beaten down, you will get beaten down. And speaking of getting beaten down, the combat itself is actually kind of strange. I mean, as most of you do know, Arkham games tend to have lots of stealth encounters with multiple enemies, and are great in the sense that you can make mistakes and get spotted, but then you can cloud your position, hide again, and get back on track by swinging in between different gargoyles and such like that. However, with this game, such a thing doesn't really happen. All of the encounters with armed enemies, specifically armed enemies, end up extremely messy, mostly because once you're spotted, you will be shot down with zero chance to escape in a matter of seconds. And even if you do find another vantage point or another gargoyle or such, you can't really swing in between them to confuse the enemies and keep yourself hidden. You'll die really quickly. So then most of the stealthy enemy armed encounters, specifically with guns, end up being a one-chance scenario, and there's no room to mess up at all. And now we need to talk about the map system. Holy shit, is it confusing! A map for a big open world game like this with case notes and multiple objectives is always necessary, and where there is one in this game, it makes no fucking sense! Because the game is in 2.5D and Batman navigates every area into the foreground, background, multiple levels and doors going off into different branching areas, and he curves around walls and follows the camera panning around, it will lead you in different compass directions, and the map does not make it clear where you're supposed to run to get to which compass direction you want to run. And why does that sound as confusing as I just explained it? Well, that's because it's laid out top-down. What? A top-down map for a side-scroller? Are you fucking insane? Saying that, that's a little bit hypocritical because games like Tombi, which is my favourite PS1 game of all time, does have like a big open world. It's not exactly top down, it's kind of on its side a little bit, it's kind of like an isometric kind of thing. It's still kind of top down, and that's even confusing to know exactly where you have to run to get to. But you can jump to different areas that you highlight, and all of the area locations and different doors to get to are very easy and very memorable. So that you don't even look at the map that often in Tombi. This you need to. The game tries to be clever about this and tries to make it understandable and easy, but honestly, some areas that you come into require you to run right to move north on the map, and others require you to run left to move north on the map. If I'm overreacting and got that a little bit wrong, I'm sorry, I'm just going from a little bit of memory here, but it really does feel like that. And because there's no main defining feature or any memorable layout to any of the main sections and areas of the prison, they all look fucking identical inside or out, it just becomes complex and perplexing and confusing and an unnavigable nightmare of identically coloured admin offices and fiery hellholes of rubble. Because of this, it's also insanely difficult to even get from a simple point A to point B, because some objectives require you to go underground or find secret passages, but again, the map doesn't give you the vaguest idea which rooms lead to which rooms. I know it's like there are secret areas and everything, but still there's just no... because everything looks the same, there's no indication whatsoever. Nothing. It's just, it doesn't show you where vents connect to, it doesn't tell you which vent you're supposed to go to get to which other room. It's just a complete mess. And navigating just becomes a huge fucking guessing game. And speaking of being a huge guessing game, sometimes even the same can be said with the missions. If the map system didn't make it confusing enough, that then splices its way into the way that some objectives make no sense at all. And even when you think that you have all of the available gadgets that you could possibly get from every different section of the prison at that particular point, you'll end up just in a complete dead end. And when I say dead end, I really mean dead end. I mean by The different areas of the prison that you can explore are all overrun by a certain Batman villain, and when you're going on one track to try and get that one Batman villain, you'll then find yourself stuck and you'll have to go all the way back to the beginning to then go on another track to get to another Batman villain, and then that track will be blocked, so you have to go back again, and then you have to go to the final one. All of your possibilities will then be completely wasted, and you just haven't got a single damn clue as to where you could potentially go. And this could be because you haven't got a certain gadget or a certain item that you desperately need, but then, like I said, you're blocked, so you can't figure out how to get any of the things that you need. You don't have a single damn clue what you could potentially do with these gadgets anyway, or where you could potentially go with them, or what potential obstruction you could get rid of, or no matter how many prompts appear on the screen, the whole idea of the missions is horrifically unclear. And for me, only through countless backtracking, hitting things randomly and using gadgets absolutely everywhere I could think of, and sometimes even consulting a walkthrough, which I never fucking do, these things just... But then again, I might be just completely shit at the game, so I'm going to be giving it the benefit of the doubt, and honestly, it only happened 3 times in the whole game while I was playing it, so it was just a minor complaint, but still quite a big one. Not to mention, one of the main cores to Batman himself, detective work, is actually incredibly shallow and thinned down. Yes, it's very cool using the touchscreen to search around for different things that are currently on your screen, but unfortunately, that's as far as the investigation goes. And because you're searching for things to investigate, obviously, you don't know exactly what you're looking for, because of how well blended in they are into the environment, because obviously they're hidden clues, fucking obviously, and sometimes they could even be X-ray hidden with stuff like fingerprints. So what I ended up doing was running forward a little bit, finding a part of the screen I haven't searched yet, stopping dead in my tracks, running my finger along the screen, not finding anything, and then coming back into the game only to run forward a little bit more and then repeat the same process. Sometimes it can be very boring, tedious, pointless, unsatisfying, and I don't feel at all like a badass detective. Anyway, after tinkering around with Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, I would think I would have to say that it was acceptable. It pushed a lot of the right buttons, and for a portable game, it's very fucking impressive. But it equally also pushed some of the very wrong buttons, and they're quite big. And even though the promise was great, it's just not that amazing of a game. And if Uncharted Golden Abyss can play with perfect and seamless 3D exploration with dual analog stick greatness, exactly like the console counterparts, why can't Batman? Because of that, it sometimes feels slightly gimmicky in that sense, and meant solely as a reason for you to get a 3DS or PS Vita just because there's an exclusive Batman game on it. And I reckon just a little bit more time, a little bit more tweaking, and this could have been a really, really great 2.5D Batman action-adventure. But unfortunately, it's not quite the ticket that it seriously could have been, and it instead exists as a shadow of its console brethren when it could have been something like MGS levels of portable gaming bliss. Farewell everybody, and until next time, take care.